So I'm going to be giving you an overview of Eid today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So before Islam, the people used to celebrate different days, whether the celebration is related to time and location. When Islam came, it got rid of those holidays and it substituted two holidays where we could offer our gratitude to Allah. So Eid al-Fitr comes after the month of Ramadan, and during the month of Ramadan we're offering night prayers and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by celebrating this holiday. Eid al-Adha comes at the end or during the season of Hajj, when all the pilgrims are performing their Hajj and offering the sacred ritual in Makkah, as this is one of the pillars of Islam which we must fulfill if we are able to financially and in terms of our health as well. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, he found the people of Medina celebrating 2 days, so he came to them. They were celebrating 2 festivals. He said Allah has replaced them with something better than them, the day of sacrifice and the day of breaking the fast, which is referring to Eid al-Fitr. It's called Eid because it comes back every year, and anything that is celebrated annually that has a specific date and rotates back, it is an Eid. And in Islam it has to be cancelled and taken out because we only have 2 days, and these are the annual celebrations. The weekly celebration of Muslims is Friday, Jummah. There's no other means of gathering, fasting and celebrating these non-Islamic events, whether cultural or not, because this is what our religion is based on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and to each of you we have ordained a court of law and a way of life. And Allah also says, for every religion we have appointed rites which you perform. We as Muslims are not allowed to perform or involve ourselves in other festivals, Christmas, New Year, bonfire nights. These are not part of our religion. On top of celebrating Eid, we offer the Eid prayer, and the Eid prayer is a communal obligation. Inshallah, I'll cover that in the next video. And is a communal obligation. It's fard. If some of the Muslims do it, the others are exempted from the sin, and if all skip it, you're all sinful, because this is an obvious symbol and ritual of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ instructed even the women who are not obliged to pray to come and attend. Atiyah said that we are instructed to take the virgins, either adult women and the girls at the age of puberty, and those menstruating on the 2 Eids, to witness good and prayer of the Muslims. Menstruating women were to keep, away from the actual prayer place. This indicates that it's highly recommended for women and not to be skipped. It is mandatory for such prayer that it is exactly like the Jumrah prayer that we must all attend. The conditions except the speech. The speech is a condition of Jumrah, but it's not condition for Eid prayer. It comes afterwards, and you have to attend Friday, but you can skip the Eid speech. It can be conducted by 3 people, the Imam and 2 followers, and not mandated upon travellers. The Prophet ﷺ travelled, and the Eid coincided his Hajj, but he did not offer during Hajj, neither did his caliphs, and these days are the days of celebration. The Eid prayer, the Prophet ﷺ had his masajid in Medina, and he indicated that it's important to pray in his masjid in Medina by saying, a prayer in my masjid is more rewarding than 1,000 prayers other than Makkah. So to pray in Medina is better than praying 1,000 prayers elsewhere in other masjids. Nevertheless, the Prophet ﷺ never prayed Eid in his masjid. He prayed the Eid prayer on the musalla, the open area outside an open plaza, and the prayer place was outside the skirts of Medina, an open area not surrounded by buildings. This was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So going to those places, it gives a beautiful sight and scene, and people would feel the awe of Islam, seeing all these Muslims going and preparing these rituals in the open. And if there is a need, if there's like rain, storms, then it can be prayed in a masajid. The only exception that scholars say there is when praying in the haram area, because praying there is the sunnah, and due to the fact that there are no other places to pray in, like al-haram. So the Eid prayer is to be prayed at the time of Dhuha prayer. Once the sun rises and it has risen to the height of the sphere, it continues until the sun passes the meridian. This is when the Prophet ﷺ and the 4 caliphs would pray immediately as the sun had risen, because the sun rises 10 to 15 minutes. This is the time of restriction and not to be prayed. So you wait until the restriction is lifted, and that's when you pray your Eid prayer. So the time of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha should be different. The scholars say al-Adha prayer of Eid should be prayed at the earliest. A ritual of Eid al-Adha is to actually slaughter your sacrifice, skinning and distributing it. So, you're eager to sort of finish the prayer of Eid and Khutbah and go to business. This is why when the Prophet ﷺ prayed Eid al-Adha, he would offer it early. As for the prayer of Eid al-Fitr, the sunnah is to delay it, because a ritual associated to feeding a poor person on that day, so they do not have to beg for people for food. And the time begins on the 28th or 29th of Ramadan and extends until the Eid prayer. Once the Eid prayer is done, it's time to feed the poor. The time to feed the poor person is over now once the Eid prayer is done. And this is why it is best to delay it a bit, so people find poor people and give them zakat al-fitr, sadaqah al-fitr. So the sunnah for those going to the Eid prayer of fitr is that they take 1, 3 or 5 odd number of dates before they go to the Eid prayer. While in Eid al-Adha, it is sunnah to not consume or eat anything until you've offered your sacrifice, and to eat from the meat of your sacrifice. I leave you here fi amanillah. Wa sallallahu wa baraka ala nabina Muhammad. Astaghfirullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.